For my 50th birthday, we decided to go on a Canadian and New England cruise. We flew into the Montreal airport to start our cruise. We enjoyed the beautiful murals that were part of the airport. We walked on St. Paul Street, the oldest street in the city. Montreal is the largest city in Canada's Quebec province. It's set on an island in the St. Lawrence River, named after Mount Royal. We sailed down the St. Lawrence River for the first couple of days. There was never a dull moment. Shipyards, marinas, the skyline in the distance, and even an amusement park. We sailed under the Jacques Cartier Bridge, which was an exciting moment. It seemed like the ship barely cleared the bridge when we went underneath it. My husband had brought a sign for guests and staff to sign, and it made my day. The ship had so many nooks and crannies and beautiful areas and things to look at and enjoy. I enjoyed my solitary morning walks or runs on the outdoor track. Sunrises and sunsets were majestic and beautiful with pinks and oranges against the blue of the ocean. I never grew tired of looking at them. We enjoyed this deck where the buffets were located. There were lots of places to sit down and eat, outside and inside. The food was very good in the buffet and the dining rooms. We enjoyed bean cherries and crab cakes and even crab legs, and there were plenty of delicious desserts to enjoy. We loved the covered pool area with the retractable roof that came in handy when the weather was rainy or it was cool at night. Some of the activities we enjoyed on the ship were shows in the theater, a floral arrangement class, and even an organ player who performed on this unique onboard organ. On day 2 of the cruise, we arrived into Quebec City. When we pulled into port, I enjoyed the views of the tall hills on each side of the St. Lawrence River. The city boasted so much beautiful European architecture, beautiful old historic churches, and other 400-year-old buildings. We walked on the oldest commercial street in North America called Rue des Petits Chapelets, which featured old-world cobbled streets, rainbows of flowers in pots and gardens. We hiked up to this area up a steep staircase to the Citadel of Quebec and enjoyed the historic sites from previous wars. Views of the port were magnificent, and the gardens were spectacular. Our last stop was to go to Montral Sea Falls, which we took a city bus to, and we enjoyed the hike up to the top. You can also take a tram. The falls were magnificent, some of the tallest I'd ever seen. The next day we had a day at sea while traveling to Prince Edward Island. It was my 50th birthday. I enjoyed the day, quietly enjoying the views on the ship, resting on the decks, and reading books. I loved working out in the gym and enjoyed a peaceful time unconnected from family and friends. Luckily, I had my husband there to keep me company and help me celebrate this special day. The staff made it a very special day. They brought me a cake at dinner, and I was sung to. I was able to share the dessert with people that we had met, even some people from Utah. We finally arrived at Prince Edward Island in Port Charlottetown. Loved the seascapes, views of the ocean. I was so excited to finally be here. This was the whole reason why I'd come on this trip in the first place. We enjoyed the rolling farmland, the green grass, the flowers, the streams and rivers that we passed by. The first thing that we did was drive to the Anne of Green Gables Museum, where Lucy Montgomery lived when she wrote the Anne of Green Gables books. Here's the avenue, inspiration from the books. We love walking along these nature paths and seeing the beautiful greenery and trees. Here's a view of the Lake of Shining Waters that she mentions from the window of the room where she wrote the books. I was so touched by the beauty of the island, the feeling of it being a dream come true. It was very emotional. When I was at a low time of my life, when I was 19, the way I coped was to rewatch the series of Anne of Green Gables on TV. It was my escape. I couldn't imagine that at the age of 50 years old, I'd fulfill my dream to visit the island of my dreams or live in a place that was very similar. We saw a few other sites around Charlottetown before getting back onto the ship at 5 p.m. Another cool place we stopped was Dalton House. This is where Prince William and Princess Kate visited. The beauty and tranquility of the island. The little lighthouses that we visited were all a dream come true, and I was so happy to finally come, but sad to leave as we sailed away, headed to our next location. We arrived into Sydney, Nova Scotia, and we were off the ship at 10 a.m. We didn't have anything planned. We walked to Quebec House and St. George Church. We only stayed on the island for about 90 minutes and returned back to the ship after we had seen all that there was to see. After Sydney, Nova Scotia, we continued on to the South Beach in Nova Scotia. We visited the Titanic gravesite where the crash victims were buried after the famous Titanic disaster near the island. One of my favorite parts of this cruise was also visiting Peggy's Cove, the iconic red and white lighthouse. I also had my first lobster roll there. It was absolutely delicious. I walked along the rocks, enjoyed the tide pools and the beauty of the island. It was quite hot that day, even though it was a little bit overcast. When one thinks of this area, they think about lighthouses such as these. The area was so fantastic. We enjoyed visiting little artist shops and even bought a painting in one of them. It was very idyllic. We were actually on an excursion to go see the lighthouse, and I would highly recommend. It was a guided tour, and there was only a couple more people on the little bus with us. The tour guide gave us great descriptions of the area and told us stories about the Titanic and other disasters that happened that the island is famous for, such as a plane crash where the plane was never recovered. I didn't realize this until I had returned home, but one of my biggest regrets from this island was visiting the Maud Lewis Museum. She is one of my favorite artists with her folk artwork, and evidently she has the entire house that she painted inside of a museum that's near the cruise port. If you are interested in her artwork, don't forget to go visit there. Another place I was excited to visit was Bar Harbor, Maine. We were going to visit Acadia National Park, but there was a thick smoke-like fog in the area. It was very mystical. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. As we approached the area, there were foghorns. Sadly, I left my nice rain jacket on the ship and it was too hard to get back to it. We had taken a shuttle called the Island Explorer to Acadia National Park. We did the Sand Beach hike and Gora mountain hikes. We could see the cliffside vistas or views. It was a little hard because of the rain and fog, but we were able to eat our sandwiches standing under a birch tree. We still enjoyed the vistas from the cliffs and heard the waves crashing onto the rocks. Saw this beautiful spider web on this tree. Felt very surreal being in this area with it fog in the middle of the summer. I guess it's quite typical for the area. After we got off the shuttle bus, we were able to walk around the town square. Cute little shops of every kind, plenty of restaurants, things to see and do, and plenty of souvenirs to buy. Walking back to the harbor, I saw a pot of lobsters being boiled. Nothing says Maine like lobster. Finally time to say goodbye. And our last day would be when we arrived into Boston, Massachusetts. I want to mention that the dinner that night was very good. They had clam chowder, lobster and cracked mac and cheese. It was very delicious. The views from the ship coming into the Boston, Massachusetts harbor were very iconic. We had an easy debarkation and then went to where the Cheers show was filmed. We also were were able to go to Harvard University and walk around. This gave me vibes of Gilmore Girls. It was fun to walk around and see where so many people try to get into school and what it must feel like to be a student there. We rented a car and drove to Salem, Massachusetts. As we walked through the cobbled, historic town of Salem, we headed over to the Salem Witchcraft Memorial and somberly noticed the granite benches that surrounded the area. Etched on each of these granite benches were the names of those who died, their means of execution, and the date it happened. One of our final stops was driving to the cute little town of Seabrook, located on the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. We walked to the water's edge of the Atlantic Ocean and enjoyed the view and the breezes before we headed off to our final stop, the tri-state marker, where we took a hike. You can enjoy that video and others on our channel. Please like and subscribe. We hope you have an awesome day.